Have you guys heard of the Rights to Parental Education Act?
No.
Do you know what that is?
No.
Have you heard of the Don't Say Gay bill?
Oh, yeah.
Have you guys ever read the bill?
Yeah.
You have?
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on it?
I think it's completely unacceptable.
What part for you do you think is unacceptable?
Censoring any child's opportunity to learn about their expression.
It's their education, bottom line. You're taking that away from children just because of your own beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
So, the bill is meant to just say from kindergarten to third grade, teachers can't teach children about sex or gender, and it includes straight as well as gay. So it includes all types of sexuality.
But I don't understand, I don't see the need to do so. I think it's important for kids to grow and understand things like the real world, and you're kind of just taking away the chance for them to understand and get educated. It's unnecessary.
Even though 5-year-olds, you think that's okay for them to be learning about this stuff?
I think that
it's not sex when they're 5 years old.
Exactly. I think
they're not going to be learning about that.
When people oppose or people support the bill, it's automatically sexualizing children.
Yeah.
It sexualizes them in a way that, in the same way that adults will be like, oh, that little boy is going to grow up to be a lady killer. No.
It's weird. They're young kids.
It's weird. It's teaching about relationships. You see children, in movies, you're learning about how a princess and a prince fall in love. It's the same thing. But God forbid, it's a male and another man.
It's completely restrictive, and it's entirely the bottom line is that it's homophobic. Mm-hmm. And it's forcing homophobia onto people when it's not like people are forcing gayness onto kids,
Even though the bill does include, don't talk about even straight sex as well.
What's the problem? It's not sex. Kids aren't going to learn about sex when they're 5 years old. It's learning about relationships. It's learning about family dynamics. It's everything, and kids deserve to learn that at 5 because they're watching, like she said, princess movies, and you see at the end it's the girl falls in love with the guy, but you would never see that about two guys, and it's because people aren't okay with it. Bottom line,
I love how passionate you guys are about this topic. This is amazing. And my question is,
2 hours ago,
should teachers or school counselors withhold information from parents? So for example, if a child comes to the teacher and says, I might be transgender, do you feel that the teachers or counselors have an obligation to share that with the parents?
No.
It is completely dangerous. It's dangerous and not accounting for those kids that live in very dangerous households.
Yeah, parents aren't supportive of that. That's not a really common thing that parents are entirely supportive.
But think about this, right?
If a kid feels comfortable telling you and they don't explicitly say hey, I want my parents to know, tell my parents, and you're kind of putting the kid in a really bad situation because you don't know how their parents are going to react. Mm-hmm. The kid might not be ready for one, but on top of that, a lot of kids are physically abused. It's not your place.
It's not your place to tell your parents if it's not a crime.
Unless the kid is expressing suicidal thoughts, and then that's the only time that I think
that is part of the bill, by the way.
Yeah,
suicidal thoughts.
But I'm not saying everything about it is wrong. That part is fine. But that's already a thing that you do now.
What about hormones, though, behind the parents' back? If the kid wanted hormone suppressors,
if they want to do it, they want to do it.
I don't think that any children should take hormones too young.
What age would you say is a good time for?
I have I know a girl that started taking it, and she was her whole life she kind of felt like she was transgender, so she identifies as a girl now, and she started taking hormone blockers when she was old enough, but from a young age she knew, so her mom supported it, but she didn't let her take the hormones young enough to mess with her, because they can mess with you if you're going
exactly.
But
so we found common ground there.
I don't think that it's you should stop them from expressing themselves. I think as long as you know education. That girl knew that because she was in a place where she could get the education for it.
So
if you're taking that away,
restricting that,
it's not only bad things in your opinion. It's the same thing with abortion. If you don't let kids learn about abortion, and if you take away the right to abortion, people are going to go and get illegal abortions that aren't safe. People are going to go and learn the wrong things and have the wrong ideas. There's nothing wrong with education.
But I'll say this though: the point of the bill, just so you guys know, is to prevent the sexualization and grooming of children. Okay. And it's to leave sexual talks to the parents. And by the way, it's only until third grade. And in a classroom setting, they can't teach sex or gender. That's the point of the bill, is to prevent that.
Right, but
because there are
taught about sex.
Yeah.
But there are teachers,
we would
though.
talk about
learn about
relationships. We would talk about
But was it with your fellow students or with teachers?
With
teachers?
teachers. We would have special guests coming in and talk about relationships.
Yeah, it's one of those
How old were
things-
you guys when this happened?
I think in second grade, first grade, we start.
What were
It
they
starts
telling
like
you?
a sex ed thing starts before like
Like
fifth
birds and the
grade.
bees?
Yeah, it's more of a birds and bees thing.
No,
Before
I
it's
mean,
more
birds and
like
bees
mom
started
loves
after
dad,
that.
and then you have a kid, and that's it. And then it's
But
mom
in,
like the
second
family
grade?
roles. It's not just sex. Like people are just sexualizing the whole subject, but your sexuality isn't just about like wanting to have sex all the time. Like it's a family, it's your real life, and there's nothing wrong with like a kid learning about that at a young age. It's not forcing anything on them to just know about it.
When I was in second grade, I remember, especially since I grew up in another program where they taught me about divorce parents, and that was from first grade up to fifth grade. And I never felt like I was in an environment where I was being taught about sex and I was being taught about stuff. I was learning how to deal with my household. And if my household contains, let's say, a mom and a mom, then I, as a child, would love to see a positive exposure at school.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong. I think that it's like bottom line, like I said, it's just homophobic.
But why?
Like inherently.
This would be the last question. Why do you feel that transgender or non-binary identification is skyrocketing amongst all these schools in recent generations? When you compare generation to generation, it used to be extremely rare, and now it's becoming.
It wasn't rare.
It wasn't.
Well,
it
I'm
just
saying,
wasn't
all the
documented in the
stats.
same way because now people are comfortable to come out about it, and there's solidarity in numbers.
But when you tell
So if you
children
feel
something,
like-
children believe in Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny, right?
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is when you plant these seeds in their heads, don't
So
you
you
think some
think
children...
that sexuality is a choice?
I don't think it's a choice, but
That's what
I'm
you're
saying,
assuming.
I'm saying young
it's
children
not a
can be
seed you
impressionable.
plant in a kid's head.
I'm not talking about genders. I'm just talking about when you're a child,
It's-
5 or 6, and you're not thinking sexually, because I don't think kids think sexually yet, right?
Right.
I don't think that they're capable of that yet. They're not developed to think sexually yet. So my point is, when you put these thoughts in a 5-year-old's head, maybe they're starting to think sexually about topics they wouldn't have thought about until they were older,
That's
closer
the
to puberty.
same
Listen,
way
I've
it's
been
a
wanting
Disney
boyfriends
movie.
since I was like 2 years old. I was
That's
2
what
years
I'm
old. I remember
saying.
my parents used to tell me this all the time. My brother had older friends that would come home and I
I
asked them
see-
to be my boyfriends. I was 2 years old.
I
Nobody
see
saw
a Disney
problem
movie
with
and I'm
that
like,
because
I
I'm
want
a
my
girl and
Prince
it's a boy.
Charming. I would have loved to see a movie
Yeah,
when I was
girl
young.
and
I
girl.
want my princess.
What the hell is wrong with that? It's just it's what
But
you
again, the
like
bill's not
and why.
about. The bill has nothing to do with gay people. That's just what the left is calling it. It has nothing to do with gay or LGBT. It's
But
about
they never
sexuality
had this.
in
They
general.
wouldn't do this if it weren't for gay people. Like
It
that's-
started off
It's
as a-
because of that. It's
as a
because they don't want to be
restriction.
seen.
Right. It's developed into something
And there's
a
no
little
way
less
that it's
worse.
gonna. And it's
But it-
unrealistic that it cuts off
At
like
first,
any
it was
representation.
restricting every single queer person in schools.
Yeah.
It was. You can't deny that. Right? And you assuming that kids are being more exposed to transgender people, so now they want to be more transgender. No. It's an exposure to, it's the same way if my mom was like, you need to be a doctor. You need to be a doctor. That's not the same. That's not the same. If I didn't want to be a doctor when I was young, then her words wouldn't have affected me. If she's like, oh, there are transgender people in this world, there are non-binary people in this world, at the end of the day, I'm like, okay, that's cool. Maybe I am too. Maybe I'm not.
Yeah,
It's not
I don't
that
see the
the
problem
numbers
with like
skyrocketed.
taking the
It's that-
chance.
How
You
many,
give a kid
how many
a
genders
chance.
are there? How many genders are there?
As many as you want to be. I don't care. It's their choice.
I don't know why everybody cares so much. Like
Yeah.
it's a
I'm
thing
just
of,
curious what you guys thought about that. And your pronouns are
She, her.
she and her? Cool. Well, I'm going to put this up fully unedited. We don't edit videos on my channel. It's going to be full conversation, so everyone gets the full context of this discussion. And I love how passionate you guys are. And what are you, freshmen, seniors? Freshmen? It's amazing, the youth, to see them so engaged in this kind of stuff.
Thank you.
Thanks for having an opinion on it.
Okay.
I appreciate it, guys.
I like your dog.
And my name is Adam Francisco on YouTube and TikTok. Cool. So you guys will find me there. Have a good day.